谢谢李娜，谢谢。我很爱中国，但是我们今天会说英文，抱歉。Thank you so much, Lina. And it's really, really great to be here talking about this topic. Henry, did you ever imagine that we would be one day, two nerds like us, in an academic and professional forum talking about science fiction? I mean, we could talk about this forever. We love it so much, but we only have 10 minutes. Now, you may also wonder, why in God's name are we starting an academic and professional forum on a topic such as technology, talking about literature, talking about movies, talking about art? Well, yeah, we want to have fun, but there is also two reasons for that. And one of them is when we talk about AI, when we think about AI, we really think about a field with infinite possibilities. It seems that AI is going to change everything. It's going to change the way we live. It's going to change the way we work. It's going to change the way we interact with each other. Everything is going to change. But we just don't know what is going to change and how it's going to change. When possibilities are infinite, we become overwhelmed, and we just can't figure things out. So we thought to look, here's the first reason, to look for the creators of stories long time ago, even before AI existed, what they imagined the future would be like, to find some paths, potential paths for discussion today, and to find, therefore, the second reason, and most important, inspiration for today, inspiration to guide us, because there's nothing more inspiring than the dreams of artists. And if you think about the creators of today, the technologies, the people that are building and driving our future forward, these people dare to imagine and dare to build things because they are inspired by the stories that they read as kids, by the books, the comic books they read as kids, but the movies they saw as kids. That's what fuels their inspiration when they start building the technology that we have today. So we wanted to take a look at the potential futures that were imagined before, and to find inspiration for later today for our discussion. I think that's a very good way to start the day, by being inspired. And what better to start than with probably the man who started it all, perhaps the father of science fiction.
Well, that's where I enter. It's Isaac.
He's not the father of science fiction.
I'm not a person, but I am going to bring up the person, Asimov. I'm sure a lot of you may have heard of his name or his work, right? One of the famous ones is I, Robot. I, Robot became a movie later on. It's changed heavily, but I will talk about the original novel, okay? It's released in the 40s, 50s. It's a series of short stories by Asimov from I, Robot. And the story really revolves around 3 rules of robotics. We can kind of segue and say that's kind of related to the sort of how we understand AI, but in physical embodiment. Back in the days, okay? The first rule of AI is that an AI or a robot cannot harm a human being through action or through inaction. First rule, no harm, right? Second, AI must obey the orders of the humans, okay? So AI cannot, or robots cannot just randomly sort of do their own thing. They should follow the orders of humans, but it cannot also, at the same time, it cannot go against the first rule. So you cannot order an AI to harm another human being. The third rule is that an AI must self-preserve itself. Okay, it must protect itself when it comes to harm, but that cannot go against the first and the second rule. Okay, so this sounds like a really closed system in terms of having a safe society with AI. That's what it seemed like. But throughout the stories from Asimov's I, Robot, you'll realize that there's actually a lot of challenges throughout the way. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of segue and just jump ahead and talk about, in this idealized world, we see that already later on in a lot of the movies and works that we see. For example, everyone knows 钢铁人, right? In terms of Iron Man, when you put on that mask, right? Iron Man put on the mask with the JARVIS system, AI system, assisting them throughout sort of shooting out missiles, or actually when you take off the mask, JARVIS can help Tony Stark, hey, I want a Pizza Hut, order a pizza. It's very easy, right? It's very helpful and supportive. That's a really idealized world, okay? And that was 17 years ago, this movie. But later, actually, even to this day, we are only just getting close to that kind of technology in terms of implementation, right? We're getting closer with the sort of the Apple Vision Pro, right? but complemented by the recent Apple Intelligence, where it is really GPT enabled through various different platforms connected. This is where you see that JARVIS type of system coming more to life. Of course, there's other movies that actually gets inspired by this kind of helpful AI sort of thinking, right? You see in Star Wars, 星际大战, you see that in R2-D2, the small robot, where it's very smart, very logical, but maybe it cannot enunciate English or languages as we normally perceive. Very helpful, though, very smart. And then you have the C-3PO, human-sized humanoid, can talk, but sometimes kind of talk gibberish, right? Not a lot of really good logic behind it. These are all really helpful assisted and helps with sort of helping you in terms of living your day-to-day life. But we see a dark side as well. We see that through the movies like Her. That's something that everyone probably see it in the news recently a lot. Scarlett Johansson, right? The AI assistant that helps a person navigate through different challenging times in terms of their relationships. But lo and behold, there's unintended consequences where the person gets attached to that AI, and AI kind of in return seems to build a relationship. A romantic relationship at that, right? But it's not an isolated incident. In the movie, it's referenced throughout. There's several relationships that's being built by humans and AI. And then you start wondering if the world is changing from just moving to being efficient, effective, helpful, it changes the way we kind of behave entirely. But that can't be all the stories. So I wonder what else is there, Jose?
Well, I mean, what you have told us right now, these are stories that are rather optimistic. Even Her, in a way, is optimistic, but it starts pointing out some potential risks. And there's a darker side, indeed, to technology. And that's why we need to turn sometimes to dystopian novels or dystopian stories. Take, for example, Neuromancer. Neuromancer, for those of you who might not be familiar, is the novel written in the early 80s and is the Bible of the cyberpunk. And it has another side. So these stories that Henry talked about, we are humanizing technology. We are seeing technology as if technology is kind of a human. We are attributing technology characteristics of humans, but technology is not a human. Now, in Neuromancer, we see the flip side. Humans become the technology. We are starting to become the technology, and we are actually seeing things pointing into that direction. If you think of the advances of biotechnology, of neural implants, we're becoming a bit, or we could potentially become cyborgs. So we do really need dystopian movies to show us the risks. What about, for example, there's also another very interesting example, and very much nowadays very talked about, of a big corporation, the Treasure Ashpool, trying to control a rebel AI for domination, for power. So there's a topic also that we discuss a lot, about big corporations controlling technology to seek domination and power, right? So dystopian novels, dystopian stories to think about the dark side is helpful to understand the risks. And therefore, we realize that technology is nothing but a tool. And it is up to us then to decide what is good, what is not good, what is actually an enhancement, and what is it not. And is it an iPhone or is it a smartphone an enhancement to our lives? To many people it is. To some people it might not be. It is ultimately up to us to decide it. And it is therefore up to all of us today as we go forward through the day to imagine how we want to use AI, what is the best use for AI, and how we can figure out together, hopefully, a better future for all of us. So thank you. I'm looking forward for the rest of the day. And look, we actually finished earlier. We should talk a little bit more about science fiction. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
谢谢。